indicates 19 hours.
Mary Gay, you're in Paris.
Yeah, you get around, Mary Gay. How are you, Mike?
Good, Alan. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Looking good tonight.
I'm good. Yeah, yeah. Clean up good.
Okay. Just gonna check again, but I think we are live. So if you want to call the meeting to order, that should be fine.
Thank you very much, Jill. Council, thank you very much for attending the Wednesday meeting, May 13th, 2020, 7 p.m. We will call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock sharp. I would also like to thank the public who are viewing this. We will appreciate your attendance. Today's meeting is held as a virtual meeting due to the declared emergency. In order to keep everyone safe, we are taking this measure to help stop the spread of the COVID-19 virus. Although this is a virtual meeting, we will make attempt to record, stream live, and publish in accordance with Council's electronic recording of meeting policy.
Today's
Due
meeting
to the
is held as a
pandemic
virtual
and the
meeting
requirements
due to the
for
declared
social
emergency.
distancing,
In order to keep everyone safe, we are not able to allow the public to attend this meeting. Normally, by attending an open public meeting of the municipality of Southwest Middlesex, you are consenting to your image, voice, and their comments being recorded and published. Again, Council, I advise you as well that all sections of the meeting are recorded. Number two, disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Jill, have any been submitted?
Just one, Mayor Mayhew, from you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. And I've declared a conflict of interest on the Integrity Commissioner's report with respect to myself. And I'll declare a conflict of interest. Council, I will mute my microphone at that particular time. And for the benefit of Council, I will step away from the screen. There's a Chesterfield and a cup of coffee waiting for me during that time. So I'll imbibe in that and leave you to discuss it. And I am close at hand. So when those discussions are over, I will return. I'm just a few feet away. Additions to the agenda. Jill, have any been registered?
Nope, not at this point.
Okay, and Council, nothing from Council's end? Item number 4 on tonight's agenda are delegations and presentations. There are none.
Mayor
yes?
Mayhew, do you mind? Maybe we're just going to move her in a second or accept the agenda.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. And that the agenda be accepted as presented. A mover. Deputy Mayor Wilkins has moved the motion.
I'll second.
A seconder for that, please. Councillor Ian Crothers. Discussion. All in favor? The regular agenda has been adopted. Delegations and presentations, none have come forth. Consent agenda. Council, I'll read these numerically in order. And if you wish any extracted, with the exception of vouchers, we will move them. Vouchers we can deal with. 5-1 vouchers in the amount of $120,000, $120,186.55.
And while we're on 5.1, I would like to sincerely thank council for your inquiries to Kristen. There's been several, and I appreciate that very much. Vouchers. We can move on. 5.2, Southwest Middlesex Council meeting minutes of April 22nd. 5.3.
Oh, Mayor Allen?
Oh, yes, go ahead. Yes, Councillor Vink.
Yes, I would like the minutes taken out of consent agenda.
Could you read the minutes? Could you repeat that, Martin, please? The minutes?
Yes, Mayor Allen, I'd like to.
All right.
Yes, the minutes.
Taken out of the consent agenda. Okay. We'll move the minutes. I think Joel will let me. We'll move the minutes. 5.2 will be moved to, I think, number 10 in the agenda. Yes. 5.2. Watching your hands here. Okay. 5.3. Letter from the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs regarding the Switzer and McLean. Yes. Yes, Councilor.
I don't remember us usually reading them all out, so I'd like to make the motion that we accept the consent agenda.
I'm taking this from the county's perspective. I feel more comfortable doing that if you don't mind, and I can go quickly, okay?
We all read it.
One example of that would be the minutes that were just asked to be removed. Had we have done that, Councillor Vink would not have had that opportunity. Number 5.4, letter from Middlesex County Warden concerning emergency exercises. 5.5, Middlesex London Health Unit. 5.6, Lower Thames. 5.7, recruitment for community safety and well-being. No hands. 5.8, City of Hamilton resolution. Request to regulate and enforce outdoor lighting nuisances related to cultivation of cannabis. 5.9, Township of Montague resolution. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Crothers.
Yes, I would like to move, if I can, that we support the 5.8, the City of Hamilton resolution regarding the enforcement of odor and lighting nuisances related to cultivation of cannabis. That's what I was bringing up last year when the subject came up of the commercial cannabis growing facility outside of town. This is a little different issue. This means that anybody basically can grow for other people, but there's an unlimited number need to grow. So it's possible that a private grower could have a larger production facility than a commercial grower, and it could be right next door to anybody that's listening in, and there's nothing we can do about it. So I make a motion to support the City of Hamilton's resolution.
Okay, we'll move that to new business, Ian, and that's extracted. We'll deal with that under new business. 5.10, railway vegetation control. 5.11, building reports. 5.10, COVID-19 municipal updates. And 5.13, City Works demonstration. Greg and Stephen, we certainly want to bring this out of the agenda immediately. And would you like at this time to give that presentation?
Certainly, thank you.
And thank you very much. And the two items I have noted under new business, and we'll deal with them, Martin and Ian, when we get to that section. Thank you, Greg and Stephen.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm just going to share my screen for starters here. Hopefully everyone can see that okay. Over the past many months, municipal management and staff have invested significant time under the guidance of the team at Public Sector Digest to create the database and templates for the citywide software we are about to show you a portion of tonight. Citywide is now used on a daily basis for work, for jobs, for projects by our Public Works Department and by my Facilities and Recreation Department. And this also involves office staff often initiating service requests and work orders that are called in by residents. Bylaw tasks are also logged into this system for Bill Menzies to investigate, as are jobs for key vendors, including Aqua and Gerber Electric. This software can be accessed and used from any device with internet connectivity. So for Southwest Middlesex use, we access the system on our company cell phones, on our tablets that are provided to Public Works and Recreation staff, on our computers in the office, and on our computers at home. Staff and select vendors have been trained on this system by Public Sector Digest. What is showing on your screen at this point is the homepage of the citywide software. From this screen, we can go to numerous areas for many purposes and applications. We will be showcasing some of the areas commonly used by Facilities and Recreation and by Public Works tonight. Benefits of this software are many, including, firstly, with the COVID-19 pandemic, this software has provided a highly effective method to communicate, monitor, and execute work within departments, between managers and staff, and from the municipality to vendors, all while avoiding direct contact. If you direct your attention to the top left corner, the Asset Manager icon there, that module of the software provides a fully integrated platform to assist with our asset management and budgeting. This includes everything we need to classify our assets, their attributes, amortization, replacement costs, condition assessments, and asset life cycles. This module is the Treasury Department's baby, so we won't be focusing on it tonight, but it is robust. Sorry, 1 second here. The adjacent icon, the Maintenance Manager here, I'm going to click on that now to go into that area of the software. Well, would you look at that? 1 second. Okay, so we are now in the Maintenance Manager screen. Can everyone see that okay?
Yes.
This allows detailed service requests right there and work orders to be assigned to Public Works and Facility and Recreation. We will show you a few such files tonight. These jobs can be scheduled and monitored with all staff having easy access to refer to this information and to add updated info to these jobs as progress is made. These files can include images, instructions, maps, checklists, and more. Regularly scheduled preventative maintenance, which is this icon right here, and one-off projects with this icon right here can also be scheduled into this system. There is also a route patrol right there, which Greg will be touching on tonight as well. Overall, this software provides an electronic database of work to be done and work that has been executed, complete with notes, records, etc. This software provides an effective way to monitor department workloads, along with the progress and status of projects in the dashboard feature right here, which I will be showing to you shortly. This software is very user-friendly. This software also has very user-friendly online user guides and online support, backed up by live support as well when the need arises. I'll now turn things over to Greg, who will show some of the aspects of this software that are being used by his department, and then it'll come back to me for showing a few screens from my department. Take it away, Greg.
All right, thanks, Steve. Now I'm going to share the screen, so the same thing's going to happen to you. So hold on here. Okay, so I've just brought up the same homepage, basically, the where we kind of work out of. I'll just click on a Maintenance Manager here for a minute. And then I'm going to hit Work Orders. And it better work. Very good, it's working. So basically what we get in front of us every day is we're really getting a list of all the work that is ongoing in the field. You know, with the Public Works staff and the Facilities and Rec staff, as well if we've got any issues out there for by law enforcement as well. So basically we look at this screen, we got nice colors over here. The first part I'll show you, which is just the work details in a minute, but I just wanted to touch on a little bit. So I come in here every day and I look at the work and I look and see what's completed and what's still in progress and still, what needs to be accomplished. Let me just move my little icon here over here. I'm going to show you a few files just to show you how this works. Steve had mentioned Aqua. It's very important. Aqua is on our system with us on a daily basis. They can create work orders themselves. They can respond to the work orders. It's a really good tool for us to get information to them. This first file I'm going to show you is basically a call that came in. So this is the detail screen that we fill out and that we have in place when we want to find out the information with regards to this particular work file itself. And this one was up on Main Street, just out by just past Graham's there on the Main Street. We had a call that there was excess water in the ditch and somebody felt that there was a water leak, and there is a water main that runs out that direction. And they would like us to look into it. So one of the neat features of this is that everybody gets an opportunity to put their notes in and what their responses are to the issues. So you can see where it starts off. It starts off with me on the right, basically saying, we received a phone call, water laying in the ditch, corner of Dundonald and Trillium. Can we have staff go out and check to ensure that it's not water, it's not a water leak? And I suggest that we test it with chlorine. A test for chlorine residual just to make sure that, it's usually our kicker that it's not a water leak. And then the Aqua staff go out, they give their observations, they do some testing, they come up with basic 0.0 on the chlorine residual. We go back the next day to pump a chamber out and look at some of the valve and distribution pipes that we have at the corner, just to make sure that none of those are leaking. They go out, they pump the chamber down, they do their chlorine residual testing and find nothing. And, they monitor, and then further the file is closed because it's not a water leak. One of the things I can't show you tonight are the photos. So it's a really big part of this program where I can see actually what is happening. So the challenges of Zoom won't allow me to, I have to unshare to show you the photos, but in this particular file, there was 4 photos associated with the work that went on there. And again, when I go back to the main screen, I see that particular task as completed, which is good. That's, takes it from when it started to when it ends. And, hopefully we provided an answer to the resident that called us. We'll show you just quickly another one because that one was related to Aqua. I'll show you one that's related to the Public Works Department and roads, where we have a situation where the owner of a street in Glencoe advises there's a storm grate that has a bar missing in the front of their property. So it's a catch basin lid, which has an open bar that's been missing or knocked off, and somebody could fall in the catch basin. So we immediately respond. After the arrival, there is a cone put on the particular spot, and it is fenced off. And then we have when the plate was recreated and reinstalled back on the catch basin, and then the file is closed. Again, I'm showing 2 pictures on this file, but I can't show you them tonight, but it would certainly give us a really good idea of what's happening in the field. The next feature that's, when we talked about GPSing vehicles and all that type of stuff, we said this program would help us out with our route patrols and our road patrols itself. And one of the features of the program is a route patrol. I'm just going to move I've got this little screen in my way, but anyways, you see all these particular tasks on the left are all route patrols that happen every day. So whether we're out grading, we're out cutting grass, we're out plowing snow, or whether we're laying gravel, whether we're just doing a straight road patrol, that particular information is entered into the same type of detailed, a detailed screen like we had saw in the work orders itself. So I will just show you a general route patrol. And this is a road patrol done in Mosa Township. So it's going to give us the details of what the staff did that day. So they were at road patrol on certain class roads. It's going to give us the road conditions, the weather, the visibility, the wind direction, you know, what the existing winter, the conditions were. It was, there were no event conditions and the temperature was 6 degrees and the wind was light. One of the nice features of it is that when we now click on the mapping for that, we can actually see exactly where that road patrol happened within the municipality. So, you know, this is very good recall information for, you know, anytime we get any litigation with regards to the road system in the municipality. And it does give us really very good details as far as, you know, if you can see in this particular case, the staff drove 240.9 kilometers. You know, the speed they were going, the average speed and the peak speed when they did the road patrol itself. So that is one for just road patrol. And I just show you quickly another one for snow removal. And this was the plowing of hard surface roads west of Thames. So it's basically giving us, it's a hard surface road, it's a class 4 road. The road condition was it was snow covered. Weather was snow, visibility good. It was -8, snow was drifting. And again, we're going to get that particular snow route. Now, remember when we went through the winter operations plan, we're broken into 6 different routes throughout the municipality, and this is one of those particular routes. So when people call us and ask us when we, you know, are out there and when we're not out there, certainly we have that information we can recall. And as I mentioned before, it does give us good information to reproduce, you know, when years pass and people still, you know, we may be litigated over an issue on the road system itself. So I'm going to take you back to the home screen again, just quickly. And one of the most important features of the program is the GIS viewer. I'm going to just sort of get us into Glencoe here. So we're going to take a little ride. So hang on and make sure you're 1 seat away from your partner. That was a joke. So this is Glencoe. Obviously, you can see the streets there. So I'm going to ask the system to put on the main water mains in Glencoe. So it's showing me exactly all the main water lines that we have in the Glencoe system. And then if I want specific detail with regards to any of the, you know, any of the attributes that we have on the screen, and I'll show you them just to end off, I can hover over those particular lines. So I can take this hover tool and I'm going to take it over top of this water line. And this is the water line that runs from out by Echo School and runs out Park House. And now it's giving us the asset information with regards to that particular piece of infrastructure that we have in the ground. So it does tell us it's an 8-inch pipe, a diameter of 200, so it's an 8-inch pipe. It also tells us that it's a PVC pipe and that it was installed in, hold on, sorry, I'm moving my other little guy. It was installed in 1989. So, you know, the last comment I got about all of this is if you look at all the attributes that you see on the right-hand side, we have everything from where the water valves are to hydrants, to stormwater, to sanitary cleanouts, to sanitary main lines, to pumping stations, to water towers. Everything is on the actual GIS system, and we can bring that up. And the relationship to asset management is pretty straightforward. So, you know, when I hovered on that particular line and you saw the, you know, the detail associated with that asset, you know, the whole result in the end of the asset management program is to produce a capital report, a capital infrastructure plan. And once we get condition studies done on all the assets that we have in the ground and above ground, you know, that plan will produce a capital plan that's condition based rather than, you know, well, we just think that road should be done or this, you know, pipe should be replaced. So it will solidify the capital infrastructure plan for the future, and it will be a plan that's driven by the need to replace infrastructure. So I find all of this kind of ironic because, you know, we implemented all this in the early part of January in my department. We were kind of just dove into it and didn't know that we would, you know, that it would be this valuable working from home. But when somebody calls me and, you know, wants information, whether it's a municipal drain or a pipe or a catch basin or whatever, I have access to all that information here. And so do the workers in the field. So through you, Mary Ellen, that's kind of what I've got to present to you tonight. And I don't know if anybody have any questions, but I think I need to stop sharing, right?
Yeah, if you stop sharing, then I'll share my screen again.
Okay, so I'm out now. So hopefully everybody understood that, but so it is the best thing for me is it tracks work, it completes work, and you know, the staff in the field have a tablet. So I was going to throw one in on locates tonight because, you know, we've done, since we implemented the program, almost 350 locates. So what happens in a locate situation is we get contact from one call through our system, and it gets put into our system. That information gets sent out into the field with a map, and the worker in the field, which we have 2 workers that are doing locates, they've got their tablets in the field. They receive that information, they go do the locate, they actually fill out the sheet, the locate sheet, they take a picture of it with their tablet, and they send it back into the system. And then that information is transferred over to the contractors. So everything is very seamless, and it's there's not a lot of paper going around, and people don't have to drive vehicles everywhere anymore. And like I said, I mean, the increase in locates is amazing that's going on right now, and our ability to respond through even this pandemic has been just been outstanding with the program. So that's all I have.
Yes,
Okay.
Deputy Mayor Wilkins. Thank you, Greg, very, very much. Very impressed. And Deputy Mayor Wilkins has the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Mayhew. So my question is to whoever wants to answer, really. Who can access these files?
If you want, I can. I mean, so these files are accessed by all staff, like in the office. All the staff would have this, specifically the staff at the front. So, you know, they can create work orders. That's done on a regular basis there. The staff in the field also have access, so that when I send out a work order, I just don't send it to one person, I send it to everybody in the group. So then in the morning when they have a tailgate party, they're talking about the work that needs to be done. And Steve does very similar on that. The bylaw people would have access to it, and our contractors. So the you know, a contractor like Gerber's that does all our street lights, they have access to it. We have plumbers that have access to it that install meters for us. Certainly Aqua is a big player in this because every one of their staff have access to this. And if it's either, you know, pumping a tank or doing whatever, we're all communicating back and forth with the program to make sure that we can deal with the residents.
Okay. I just wondered if members from the public could access this in any way. No, I didn't think so. Okay. So just my question for the contractors. So they're allowed to log in under their own names with their own password. Is that correct? How that would work?
Yes, that's how that works. So basically what the system is set up to do is that if I have a street light that needs to be fixed, an email is generated by the system and sent to the provider, the fixer. They go into the mobile software, the citywide software, they log in and they have access to this work order, and they respond to the work order just like our staff would. Okay. And we get the information back immediately.
Well, it sounds like a very efficient system. So congratulations and good luck with it. Sounds like it's going fairly smoothly so far.
A big part of this was when council approved us to move forward with the efficiency monies for this program.
Exactly, money well spent. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Gay, and thank you, Greg. Councillor Scholdice had his hand up first. We'll allow him to speak. Mike, you'll have to unmute yourself. Following Councillor Scholdice's question, it'll be Councillor Vink's turn.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I'm just wondering, how is it working with staff carrying the tablets, particularly when they're cutting grass or in heavy equipment?
The tablets, what was purchased with the tablets were stands, mount in the trucks and in the pieces of equipment. So all the pieces of equipment have a mount, and the tablet sits in the mount itself. So.
Okay,
Thanks.
good. And Councillor Vink, it's your opportunity to ask a question.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. To Greg, you talked about routes in the summertime. Is every route checked every day, even though the weather may be really well or whatever?
Through you, Mayor Allen, so I think you're asking about road patrols?
Yes, I am, Greg.
Yeah. So typically road patrols in our municipality, I mean, that particular guideline falls under the minimum maintenance standards that have been produced by the province. So we would do road patrols on a regular basis once a week. Through the pandemic, we've been stronger with that. So we've been probably 3 times a week with our road patrols. We have experienced extra garbage on the sides of roads. You know, we found a lot more beer cans than we found before the pandemic started. And, you know, we want to make sure that those roads are safe and that people don't have another headache on their hands considering the situation that everybody's going through. So we have increased those, and I want to keep them increased until we get through them.
Okay. Thank you, Greg. I don't see any hands up. Perhaps you've gotten through that. Stephen, you still have a little bit more to present to us, and we'll give the floor back to you, Stephen.
Okay, thank you. Through you, Mayor Mayhew, I'm going to share my screen again, so hold on tight. Okay, so we're back at the, go back to the home page there, and then we normally, every day, my department goes into the maintenance manager, and then one of the most common screens we use here is work order. So I'm going to click on this hammer here, this work order icon. And what that is doing is showing us all the work orders that are currently in the system that are not completed, or those that have been completed within the last 30 days. Once they've been completed for more than 30 days, they get automatically moved into an archive and off of this screen. So across the top, there are different columns. I'm just going to explain a few of them to you. So first of all, in the department column, if I specify my department, then it only is now showing all the work orders that are still open for facilities and recreation. So that's useful for my guys, so we're not having to also scroll through all of the work for Greg's department or bylaw enforcement and whatnot. Next up, I will show you the priority column here, which is color-coded as well. So this is just a useful way when we create the work orders, depending on the urgency of that job, we can assign a priority. We can also go back at any point and change a priority. If something becomes more urgent than it initially was, we can go change it, reschedule it, do anything we want. So it's very flexible in that regard. The next column is the status column. So the ones that are completed are in green. And as I said earlier, those ones will be gone in 30 days off of this screen so that we're not having to filter through like 5 years from now, a bunch of jobs that we completed 5 years ago. And then as we create the work orders, Greg and I can assign them to certain staff or just to our crew as a whole for someone to complete, for who's going to do the work. I'm just scrolling across here a bit. So we've got address of the work location, the date the work order was created, who created the work order, when it was last updated by anyone. Then of interest, with every work order, we also put a scheduled end date when we want the work done by. And so the one other nice eye catcher is any work order that is past its deadline and not done is highlighted in red, like this one here, which I've purposely left there for you to be able to see how that works. And then the next column is the completed date. So those are some of the columns. And then I'm going to take you right into one of our specific work orders to show you what it's all about. So we're going to go into this one. So as council knows, we've got 20 heritage trail signs across the municipality. And one of the things in my budget for this year was to start to refurbish them. They're in rough shape. They've been up for almost 20 years. And so we're working away on those. So we're right now in the home page for that work order. So I'll just show you a few things on the home page here. There's the priority. We put it in as a low priority. It's going to be something we're chipping away at on rainy days and when time permits, as a job filler when the weather dictates that it's a good time to be inside and not outside this time of year, working on our properties and fields. The The status of the work order is right there. So the statuses can include not started, in progress, completed. This particular one, we're waiting on the posters. Each Heritage Trail sign has a poster on the inside, a custom historic information poster. So we're getting that done up and buying the wood to redo the box that the sign is in. We see who the job was assigned to. It was Facilities Recreation. We can see the date that this work order was created and when it was scheduled to be done. Also, quite often there are maps for the work site. So that's showing where this particular Heritage Trail sign is at the Middle Mist Park. So that's all on the homepage. And then I'm gonna just show you 3 things in the left column here that are the most frequently used parts. We've got notes, we've got attached files, and we've got processes. So if I go into the notes here, you'll see there are 3 notes on this order. So notes are quite often where information and updates will be left by staff. So as my guys are working on a project, they will add notes to the work order. The most recent note is always the top one, and then it goes backwards from there. So Mark McLean in my department has added the last couple of notes, and you can see that in this column here that I added the first note with some details. Then the next thing is attached files, which is similar to what Greg was showing during his demonstration. For this particular work order, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attached files. They're really easy to pull up in this program. They're not so easy to show during a Zoom meeting. So the top 4 are before pictures of different aspects of this job, showing the sign, the poster, the posts, and the horrible condition that they're in. And then when this project is done, we will take and add after photos to this work order. And then this PDF file here is the actual artwork that has been sent to the supplier to print the new poster. So the attached files are just a great way to keep everything together for a work order. And then finally, I want to show you this next one here is processes. There's one process linked to this order. And so basically, the way this system works is we can create our own processes. And since there's a lot of steps and details in refurbishing these signs, I decided to make a custom process with check marks for all the different steps that we need to complete on every Heritage Trail sign. So as they're done, you can see my staff have checked off different parts of the order that are done. And over here, you can see that Mark McLean was the one working on this order. So he's checked off all of those steps. And you can see that what is left is replacing the posters not checked off, reattaching the box to the posts, and then taking an after photo of the finished product. So those are kind of the 3 main things left on that order to be done. When we go back to the home screen for this work order, you'll see in the bottom here, I'm circling with my cursor, a summary report. And the nice thing, I'll go into that about the summary report, is it kind of, as the name indicates, gives a summary of the entire work order on one page. So that's all the detail. And with this, we can either up here in the top left corner, we can print a PDF of this information if we needed to keep a hard copy for any reason. Also, over here in the middle, we could email this summary report, whether it's to a counselor who wants to know about a certain work order, or to Jill, or to whomever. So it's very useful in that regard. So I've just got one last thing I want to show you with our citywide software. I'm going to go back to the Maintenance Manager home screen, and I'm going to go into the dashboard here, which I love. So this is the dashboard. Hold on to your hats. This screen provides a summary of what is on the go for my department. The dashboard feature can be completely and easily customized by each user. So Jeremy in my department, he can customize it to how he wants to see it. Our staff can customize it to how they want to see it. So the way I have it is a summary of what's going on in my department. So our staff could each have, instead of what the whole department has left to do, they could have it show only what they have left to do. So they don't necessarily care if their coworker has a job assigned that the coworker's not done. They want to know what they have left to do. So it's really easy to customize. Up in this top right corner, I'm going to click on that. There's a bunch of toggles. So you can easily turn on and off different parts, all of these things that can be in your dashboard. So there's lots of options there, and it's so easy to do. You will see as well on my dashboard that we can not only monitor work orders, but service requests, inspections that are pending, preventative maintenance, and even if we have any assets there that are out of service. So those last three things I touched on, those are parts of this software that we have not fully started to take advantage of yet. We're still loading that sort of information into the system. And so once we have fed that info in, a lot more information is going to be available for staff to work from and for Greg and I to monitor from our dashboard, all on one easy screen. So it's a very robust system, and it ties in perfectly to our asset management system as well, which we can touch on some other night. But with that being said, that wraps up the demonstration for tonight. Are there any further questions for Greg or I?
Looks good, Steve. Yep. There, I can see hands now. Yeah, any questions, Council, you'd like to address to Stephen? Well, Steve, I want to thank you again. We still have Kristen with us. Kristen, I have signed my name on numerous checks that say CityWorks, and now I realize why I signed all those checks. It makes me feel much more comfortable because I have signed numerous ones payable to that company. So I'm very pleased and thank both gentlemen for giving that. We will approve the consent agenda items 5.1 through 5.13 with the exception of two items that have been taken out. 5.2 regarding the minutes and 5.9 regarding the advisory request on the lighting of cannabis operations. Martin, just to clarify it, if I could, Martin, where are you? Martin, the nature of your request to take the minutes out of there, when we adopt the consent agenda, we adopt those minutes. So is it a correction or was it something other than a correction that you wanted to address in those minutes?
Well, I believe it's a correction, yes. Somebody else might think it's something else.
Yeah, we can deal with that now, and then there'll only be the one item. If are you prepared to inform us of the correction there?
Well, I thought we were going to do a new business, but I'm just going to pull it up right now on the my other computer.
And then when we accept the consent agenda, we can accept those minutes at the same time.
Yes, are you ready, Mayor?
Yes, I am. I'll give you the floor and advise council and the scribe what the correction is.
Okay. Well, again, Mayor Allen, it's my opinion, but in the minutes, and of course this is a public document, it says Councillor Vink is now absent from the meeting, and I take exception to that. It was technical difficulties with Zoom. So I did not leave my station. And we also had another counselor that was in and out of the meeting, and there's no mention of that. So this is where my complaint arises.
Okay. It's in the wording. Jill, can those minutes be modified to a technical nature, or do they stand?
So through you, Mayor, we do understand that this is a whole new way that we're undertaking council meetings. The minutes are a reflection of what happens at the meeting. So if someone leaves the meeting, it needs to be documented because there may be a vote that an individual didn't participate in. So I do try to catch those if we are in an electronic meeting as well. If someone drops off, regardless of the reason, it's just a document that someone was absent, and then I try to record when they come back to the meeting.
Okay. Yeah. Any other? Yes, go ahead, Martin, and followed by Councillor Crothers. Go ahead, Martin.
Mayor Allen, sorry, Mayor Allen. Mayor Allen, I still don't see the problem with saying that due to technical difficulties, Councillor Vink left the meeting. What's the harm of that?
It is a request that certainly could be considered by council. Councillor Cal, I see your hand. Councillor Crothers was first. I'll allow Councillor Crothers to speak, followed by Councillor Cal. Ian, unmute yourself, please. Yep. Unmute yourself, Ian. Yep, better? Go ahead.
Yeah. Yes. You didn't mention 5.8. That was concerning the resolution for the city of Hamilton. If we could discuss that also.
Yeah, we're going to discuss that under new business, Ian.
New business. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Councillor Cowell.
My only comment about not leaving the reason how come someone leaves a meeting, I think it goes back to there have been times where councillors have had to leave for personal reasons, whether it's to use the washrooms and whatnot. And I think that just having it be that you've left the meeting is probably the most appropriate way to approach it, because I don't think we need to have every reason we've ever left a meeting listed in our minutes.
Yeah. And Councillor Cowell, in your favor, you were having connection problems during our last meeting, substantial connection problems, I recall.
I was, but I was able to access it while I still had video through my cell phone. And I had gone back and watched the video after the fact and noticed that at no point in time did my video ever end. I was still sending out signal. I just had difficulty hearing. So perhaps if I had turned the video off, that might have been different, but I was able to access the volume. Otherwise, because I did speak to, I did have a brief question about that myself, but ultimately when I looked back at the video, it did not show my absence.
Yes, I knew at times you came back and said, I did not hear a thing. I recall quoting you, and then we reiterated the communication to you. Council, is there any sympathy for this, or do we move on? Martin, your fellow councillors know why you disappeared from the screen. We know that you were in your chair, and those watching certainly know as well. The chair looks as if we can move on from that. Therefore, we will adopt the consent agenda 5.1 through 5.13, and the only exception, 5.9, will be moved to new business. Can we have a mover and a seconder?
I'll move.
Councillor Bartlett, is there a seconder for that? Councillor McGill? Discussion, staff, or council rather. Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? Carried. Okay, we're on to item number 6, staff reports. 6A, fire. There is none documented on the agenda. Administration under B, natural gas, provincial natural gas expansion program. I'm going to hand this over to Jill. Jill, before I do, I just want to advise council that the recommendation, the only unusual part about that, it's there's 2 recommendations. We can have one or the other, and I just want to bring to your attention, or we can have both, okay? So I want to emphasize it's not the first or the second. It can be 1 or 2 or both 1 and 2. So in terms of the motion that will come forward out of Jill's presentation, just be cognizant of the fact that both recommendations can be accepted. Jill, would it be convenient to hand it over to you? I know sure. Jill has worked on this as well, and I've had some input in it, and perhaps if Jill could paraphrase this, I'd appreciate it, Jill.
No problem. Thank you, Mayor. So the report covers natural gas, and it's in 2 areas. I think the recommendation you'll note is only related to the expansion program for a decision before council, but the other part of this is just an information piece that there is another project that's happening with natural gas. I put them in one report so that we were talking about the same topic, which is the natural gas lines. But just so you know, there's two things happening, right? So we've got the natural gas expansion program, which the ministry is providing support, and communities with their natural gas provider can make a submission to the Ontario Energy Board for consideration for an expansion. And secondly, there is a replacement project that is happening in part of our community for the London Line replacement project with Enbridge Gas. So I just want to draw your attention that there's two different items in this report. And you will probably have already seen the notification that Enbridge Gas put out to the community for a virtual open house. I think the last day for that is May the 1st. So that's already passed. We provided that information on our Facebook page as well, as in an effort to support them. If there is someone who has a question for natural gas about that replacement project, we can certainly direct them to the project lead on that. But you should know there's going to be more information coming about this project. They're going to continue to work with staff before coming to council, but there will be a presentation directly to council about the entire project. They're also going to be working with Middlesex County as well as Strathroy-Caradoc throughout this replacement and decommissioning of existing lines. So onto the expansion program, council has seen a couple of letters from Ministry of Energy to the mayor, has certainly expressed interest in supporting a project, and we took the opportunity to have the conversation with Enbridge, both Greg Storms and myself, and they provided some recommendation around what they would see as best chances to be supported. So they said the criteria that the ministry is really looking for is a location within a municipality where there is a sort of a collection of homes that do not have natural gas already. So we are pretty lucky. We'll see from the map within Southwest Middlesex, many of the urban areas or settlement areas do have natural gas in them. So you can see that in the map. The one area that really doesn't, that's a collection of homes, is Middlemiss. So that's why that recommendation is for council's consideration. But the other has to do with a desire within the community, and council members and the mayor brought this forward to me as well, with that extension down Old Drive. So coming off of Melbourne Line and coming down. And there are a fair number of, certainly a number of properties, but also a fair number of residences and fairly significant operation down there as well with at the Glencoe Green. So that's why the report is before council. I'm happy to answer any questions that I can about the project, but you'll see that what they're looking for from council is a support letter with some information, some mapping, and I think that's it for tonight. If you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Thank you, Jill. Council, yes, Councillor Link.
Councillor Mayor Al, thank you. Jill, I noticed that you have two routes in Ward 1, I believe. So does that mean that it's only those two routes that would be considered, or we provided a list of some routes in Ward 3 as well, and I know they're not on there. So, so what does that mean? Only these two will be considered?
Yes.
Yep. Through the mayor.
We're still in the process of acquiring information, and Martin, those I want to thank Councillor Vink and Councillor McGill for forwarding scenarios to me that I both passed on to Jill. But this is not we're still in the process. We haven't submitted this document, so all will be considered. We're taking the ones that meet the criteria first, and others will be examined. Jill, I'll let you proceed from here.
Yes, so through the mayor, the proposals that are before council tonight for consideration are very much in part based on the information that we gathered from the conversation with the natural gas provider, so Enbridge representatives. They shared some information around what the Ministry of Energy is looking for. They really are looking for a significant return on the investment if they're going to provide some subsidy for expansion to a gas line. They're looking for it to be something that hits as many folks as possible. So that's why their recommendation was to go with areas where you have a collection of homes. So what they said to us was a village or some kind of a hamlet that doesn't currently have natural gas provided within the community. And that's why I noted we're pretty lucky. If you look at the map, you will see most of the settlement areas, the village, they do already have natural gas, and it goes beyond those little urban area pockets out into other parts of the community as well. So we are pretty well positioned. That said, there's certainly opportunities for expansion. It's just what's the best case scenario. So communities that tend to be receiving that kind of funding, when you take a look at what the ministry has supported already, they do tend to be communities where it's a collection of homes already, some kind of a village or some kind of a hamlet that doesn't currently have it.
Okay, Councillor Cowell, and followed by Deputy Mayor Wilkins. Councillor Cowell first, Deputy Mayor Wilkins to follow.
Are there any hamlets or collections of homes in Ward 3 that stand out as not having service?
I was wondering about Pratt Siding, Martin. Does Pratt Siding have gas? Martin? Unmute, Martin. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, Mayor Al. Yeah.
No, that's fair. Does Pratt Siding have gas?
I would think so, Mayor Allen, since there's a school there, I would think they do have gas. But I can't say for sure.
Okay. Yeah, and
Alan?
yes, Jill, go ahead.
Just
go ahead, Jill.
If you're able to take, I know it's not easy while you're looking at the Zoom meeting, but if you do take a look at the map, you can see where all of the lines are. Yep. So up from Wordsville, you can see it does extend into Pratt Siding.
Okay. And two questions. I have Deputy Mayor Wilkins has her hand up. And there was another one there, Councillor Crothers, I believe. Deputy Mayor Wilkins first, followed by Councillor Crothers. There's a delay on the
thank you.
Here. Yeah, there's
I know there is. I know there is. Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor Mayhew. So Jill, you and I did correspond back and forth with you yourself, some emails on this. And I'm just wondering, when you were in talks with the Enbridge representative, at any time did Trillium Drive from Dundonald through to Clapham Road or Longwoods west of Wardsville through to the Chatham-Kent border come up? Because the reason I say that is on Trillium West, there is an estate there, and I would think there's probably, at least 15, maybe 20 homes in that area. And I wouldn't know how many homes there are along there with farms and, drier situations with the farms, but there's certainly more than one. So I'm just wondering if that was at all considered.
Go ahead, Jill.
Yep, thank you. So yeah, we were open to any kind of information. It is really the criteria comes back to what's the best option, what's the closest distance to be able to get as many new residences onto a natural gas line. So we were looking for areas where we could hit several new properties that do not have gas currently, and it's not a large expansion of a line. So we have considered all areas, but we are open to putting forward other projects. Really, Enbridge is quite open to supporting what it is the council would like to do. They do, I think, look at the municipality and saying, you're the ones who are going to know better than us, perhaps, as to which areas have the most desire for this. And then they look at it with putting it forward to be supported, but the OEB will look at it based on where do they get the biggest bang for the buck for the expansion of this, so that they can get a return on investment in the not too distant future.
Thank you, Jill. When I'm looking at this, we have the expansion down Oldie Drive, and we also have a recommendation that would include expansion Melbourne Road to the community of Middlemas.
It's 20 hours.
And that being said, council could change the recommendation and to further any further investigation by staff into pockets or hamlets that would be deemed appropriate or recommended by councillors. So that would be to address Mary Gay's concern. I thought that was of keen interest there, and you know, we can certainly modify administration's recommendation for further study into certain areas. What's council's wish on this? 1, 2, both, or both plus? And there's 2 hands up here. I'm going to take Councillor Crothers' hand first, followed by Councillor Scholdice. And Councillor Scholdice, you're on mute, so you can start looking for your unmute button. Councillor Crothers first.
Yes, I was wondering how much information there was on how many people are interested, and if a route is chosen, is that going to be based, or is if a gas line goes down in a particular area, is it going to be mandatory to hook up to it so they can recoup their investment, or how does that work? Do you have to get information from all the different citizens and the different proposed routes and see who wants it and who doesn't? I just wonder how that'll be approached.
I think the business model is based on the number of potential units available. They're looking at market share. Because it is government funded, a majority of this, I think they're looking at, oh, you didn't hear me say it, but perhaps even the number of votes, perhaps, but it is based on market share. I think the more people they can please, the more appealing the project will be. And it also has to be a viable business model for Enbridge as well.
For Enbridge.
The only exception to that would be an extremely large commercial user, but it would have to be extremely large. Jill, can you walk us through this this mud anymore here? I think we have it. Did I miss a hand? I think did Councillor Scholdice, did you have your hand up? Yes, you did. Go ahead, Michael. Go ahead, Michael.
Thanks, Mayor May. Thanks, Mayor Mayhew. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay, thanks. Good. I was just, I'd prefer the old drive option as it allows access to the area north of the CPR tracks. And there's quite a few number of large farming operations on Old Drive, as well as newer homes. So I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, and Councillor McGill, to address Councillor Scholdice's remarks, we're not putting ourselves in a box by suggesting Middle Miskit gas as well. We're not the ultimate authority as to who decides where this gas goes. It'll be between the higher levels of government and Enbridge that will determine what business plan is best. And I agree with Councillor Scholdice that is probably a preferred venue. But that being said, it may not hurt for Council's recommendation to go beyond that because the ultimate authority will be between Enbridge and a higher level of government. Our recommendation merely goes in for study. Councillor McGill, you had your hand up, followed by Councillor Cal.
Yep. Thank you, Mayor Mayhew, but I think you pretty much said what I was going to say, that, yeah, we have nothing to lose by including both options, or possibly even more. But I would think Enbridge, I agree with Councillor Scholdice too, if Enbridge was looking at this, they're going to see that they're going to sell more gas with the old drive route. So I would think if Enbridge was just going to pick one, that would be the one they would pick first. Mm-hmm. But there's no harm in us including more possibilities. We could rank them and put old as our first choice.
Yeah. And thank you, Mark. I wanted yeah, I didn't want to cut you off there. I believe you're done or frozen. Councillor Cal?
I'd like to move the recommendation that we do both options. Like everyone else, not everyone, but almost everyone said, it doesn't seem to take away from one option or another to have the opportunity. And if both of the options came into the community, that would be a boon for our municipality one way or another. So I move that recommendation.
Okay, Councillor McGill, are you seconding that?
I'll second it.
Okay. It's been moved by Councillor Cal. Jill, seconded by Councillor McGill. Council, I'll open that up for discussion. Just for the benefit of council, in just doing some homework and research on this, when you look at the old drive proposal, there are 59 residences on that section that was highlighted on those maps and resubmitted to Jill. And that doesn't include any abandoned homes. Those are only viable homes where people are currently living in them. And in addition to those 59 homes on Oldie, there is 5 corn dryers as well in addition to that. So that's what makes that perhaps a viable submission. Just from a numerical perspective, I just wanted you to know the count. Any other questions? Yes, Councillor Scholdice. Councillor Scholdice has a question, followed by Deputy Mayor Wilkins.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I just wanted to point out I wasn't opposed to exploring other options. It's just that I thought that old was the preferred, but I'm in favor of the other exploring the other options.
Thank you. I assume that, Mike. Deputy Mayor Wilkins.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Mayhew. And this is just a comment to Ian's question. And I did a little bit of research on this as well. And when you figure out an average home using approximately 2,200 cubic meters a year of natural gas, even with the 23 cents per cubic meter figured into that, it equates to about $1,300 a year for natural gas. And when you compare that to heating oil and electricity and propane, they're all about double that. So I can't imagine anyone that wouldn't want to connect to natural gas, Ian, but just some figures for everybody and a comment. And I certainly support Krista's motion.
Yeah, thank you. Good reference there, Deputy Mayor. Thank you. Last call for questions, Council. All in favor? Please raise your hand. Opposed? Carried. Jill, thank you very much for your efforts on that. I appreciate it. Continuing on, we're on building C, section C. There's nothing to report, I believe. Finance, we'll hand it over to Kristen. Introducing adjustment of property taxes. Any comment on that at all? It's
this is another. Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. This is another 357 adjustment. We had a couple of those last time.
Okay.
This is under the recommendation of MPAC.
I will move it.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. A seconder for that motion. Councillor Crothers. Councillor Crothers is seconding the motion, moved by the Deputy Mayor. Questions? In favor? Raise your hand. Carried. And Kristen, continuing on, COVID financial impacts, you have a variance presentation there?
I do. I'm just going to share my screen too. I don't know why it's not showing the, oh, I think I just have to close one of these guys first. All right. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
Now I have to be able to, okay, there we go. So for the overall variance, this is all as of April 30th. Keep in mind that I've got a note here at the side that we budget annually, not monthly, and we receive some of our payments and pay some of our expenses not in a monthly interval. So our taxes are collected, as you know, quarterly. Insurance is paid once a year. So those types of annual expenses might skew the percentages based on what time of the year that they're done. So I can take you through these department by department. So first of all, general government variance. You can see it's broken down between the revenue up here and where we're at as a percent of budget and expenses down here. And then some notes over here to explain things that are, you know, may look a little skewed for this time of the year. So we've only to date received the 1/4 of the OMPF, which is normal, but it makes our grants look like they're only at 24% rather than 33%, as you'd normally be at this time of the year. Dog tags is another one that's been billed for the entire year. So that makes the licenses and permits line look much higher. Like it won't continue to grow at that percentage. Some of the rent hasn't been invoiced yet. I need to reserve a donation. We're just issuing the check for the St. Clair Conservation Authority. And then the debenture payments at the bottom, it shows that there's nothing budgeted and then there's an expense there. That's all internal. So that'll be, again, based on timing. So we have paid, in this case, we've paid tile loans to the province and we won't invoice those out until our August final tax billing. So as far as the projects go, we've got, I added a couple lines in here. Sorry, a couple of columns on here as well. You'll notice there's the cost. The first 3 budget amounts are cost, and then basically how we're going to pay for it, whether it's reserve or grant or tax rate, and then where we are to date with the project. So these are all already approved in the budget. And the reason why I added those lines in here is because if we're going to need to control any costs for COVID expenses, we'll need to take a look at what's in this tax rate column. So in this case, if we cut these projects, it's not going to change what we're levying on taxes, if that makes sense. So everything, all of these general government projects are funded by grants and or reserves. So the phone system, we're awaiting installation of fiber from Eastlink. The website, the county is working with an agreement with a service provider to provide a larger scale for a few municipalities. The agenda package, I think IT is also working on, and the Laserfiche document management system is starting to ramp up. So that's another positive. Hopefully we'll see some efficiencies with that as well. And then we can potentially roll that out to other departments as well. So Public Works variance, Overall, you can see we're at 18% of the expense for the year. Note 1, you'll see the public works building expense looks a little higher because we've got some septic tank pumping, and the drainage line looks a little off because the wages are not allocated until the end of the year. We accumulate all the wages in public works, and then I split those out based on their timesheet. So based on Andrew's timesheet. And a lot of the expenses, some of the largest expenses in the public works section is related to gravel roads. Almost $1 million of their budget is gravel roads. So that expense will be coming shortly, gravel and brine. So it's a little bit of a seasonal expense as well. And for their capital projects, again, keep an eye on this tax rate column. So I don't know that you want me to read out all of these to you, but let me know if you have any questions on any of them, and we can, Greg could probably address those specifically.
Okay. We can do that now, or we can do that at a later date, Council. You'll certainly have the material in front of you following the meeting if you have any concerns. But first, Kristen, I want to compliment you on that, because it was all municipalities are talking about COVID-related expenses, and ours are minimal compared to some in more urban areas. The rural areas certainly have an advantage in terms of that, but you have left no stone unturned. I noticed you even have the garbage tags that we gave away to the various charities in there. And so I know you have got full inclusion of all costs. And if in the event a higher level of government does make some remuneration back to the municipalities on COVID-related expenses, Southwest Middlesex is in an ideal position to submit an application for that. And I thank you very much for that. And also, I want to point out that I think tax stabilization is very, very important. We approved our budget early. We had a very competitive tax rate increase compared to various other municipalities, and we don't want to open up that budget or that levy again. And this creates a tax stabilization for Southwest Middlesex. So I commend you on that. Council, any questions? Any other questions? I can't see my screen. Well, I'll wait till Kristen logs out. Kristen, is there anything else?
Okay. I didn't. Do you want me to take them through this COVID slide, or?
I think it might be a good idea. Yes, I think, and then you won't have to load it again. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So I kind of skipped through some of the other departments. I can go back if anybody has any questions, but I know there has been a lot of talk, and I've sat in, and I know Jill and Steve and Greg and the chief have too, sat in on a lot of webinars and conference calls about cost containment, I think is a term I've heard used quite a bit. And these municipalities that are really trying to rein in some of their costs are municipalities that use a lot, are gaining a lot of revenue from user fees. So the smaller municipalities are predominantly tax revenue based, and that's not really going to change based on usages of our facilities that much. So far, we're looking at, we're trying to capture both increased costs and decreased revenue. Anything that we haven't budgeted for that would create a budget variance that we would need to offset somehow. And so far we've got about $26,387 as pointed out on that slide 16 of 17. So cleaning supplies, playground closure signs, additional personal protective equipment, and then the decreased revenue and bag tags, approximate interest and penalties, and the cancellation of facility rentals. I think next year we may be a little bit more challenged in that MPAC has postponed the next assessment cycle. So the assessment values for all of the properties will stay the same. So usually we do enjoy a bit of extra revenue from assessment growth. We're only going to see that from new builds this year, not from increased values on current properties. So this isn't going to be just something we're facing this year. This is going to be something that's going to follow us for a little bit anyways. So I thought maybe our best approach was, as we continue on with COVID, we should continue obviously to identify unbudgeted items that we're experiencing, and then perhaps offer up budget room to mitigate these expenses so that we're not seeing a big draw from the tax rate stabilization. So far, staff have met and come up with a few suggestions, namely Communities in Bloom, chairs for the council gallery, the arena auditorium flooring, and maybe reduce the scope of the arboreta, since we shouldn't be having a lot of congregating there anyways. Again, I'm referencing the projects above. If we're looking at additional projects, we want to make sure that we're looking at ones that are funded through the tax base, because the grants are still coming in as far as we're aware, so we can still fund the projects that we were trying to fund through the grants and reserves. We don't want to fall too far behind in we don't want to postpone too many projects until next year, and then staff will have a hard time getting twice as much done next year. The things that are harder to measure is the operating costs and savings that we will have going forward. For example, we'll have less utilities and maintenance costs for the facilities not being used, less fuel costs due to the decreased price, and less usage of the vehicles. But then again, offset revenue of the facility rentals. We're not sure what's going to happen with our swim season and our pool this year. So some of this we're going to have to take it month by month and see what continues to be impacted. We're also going to see in the coming weeks probably Steve will be identifying some necessary updates to our facilities, and these will be keeping with the suggested protections from the province in order to keep our residents and our staff safe for the facilities that are going to continue opening up under slightly different models. So we'll bring those before council with recommendations again then on how to fund these updates. So that's all I have. If anybody has any questions.
Thanks again. We will be considering two recommendations here, staff 2 and 3. But any questions to Kristen? The first is number 2 is the variance presentation. Will have to be received by council. Any questions on the variance presentation? Yes, Councillor Bartlett.
Through you, Mayor, to Kristen. Kristen, the interest and penalty of $12,000, is that forgiven or is that deferred?
So how we have, so our system, what happens within the property tax system is that when we set this calculation to run once a month, like the beginning of the month after the deadline, and it calculates on all outstanding balances. So we're just not running that until 30 days after the emergency has been lifted. So that's also why it's an approximate. If nobody pays a dime, then the system will calculate on the entire amount that's unpaid at the end of this. So if people are keeping up and able to make some payments, then yes, it will be a lost revenue for us. If they don't make any payments, then that will be applied after the emergency is lifted.
Okay. Thank you.
Did I answer?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Any other questions? Can I have a motion to accept that the COVID-19 financial impact presentation be received?
I think Martin maybe had a question.
Did I miss some? Okay, it delayed to Councillor Vink first, and Councillor Bartlett perhaps after that. Okay, go ahead, Martin.
Okay, thank you, Jill and Mayor Allen. Yes, my question is in regards to the daycare center, and Kristen brought up a good point about the assessment being frozen. And so the daycare center, if there's an overrun, how would that be calculated? Because I would think the daycare center is going to be completed next year.
Kristen, you want to handle that? It's a little out of order, but we'll give Martin the privilege of answering it if you can.
Yeah. So Steve could give an update if you want as to how that's progressing, but I think your question is more about the financial impacts of it. We have $2.5 million that we were awarded from our CMSM to put up this building. So the majority of the costs are being funded outside. We did reserve a little bit for the daycare in this year's budget, and we could, if we're still running into, you know, a lot more increased cost than that, we could tap into some reserves. We're still hoping that we have, as far as I know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't seen any indication that it's going to be that much more costly, I don't think.
Okay. So, okay, thank you. I think that answers it. We're progressing cautiously and optimistically. I would think that would be the best way to answer that. Did I miss a hand? Councillor Bartlett, did you have a second question there, or are you okay? Unmute yourself, Doug. Unmute. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to move the motion.
Okay. All right. Thank you. A seconder for that. Councillor Crothers. Lots of questions on that. No further questions. Oh, Mark, do you have a question?
Well, yeah, it just says in the agenda package that we're receiving this report, but aren't we doing a little bit more than that, because we'd be approving moving some amounts budgeted to be spent in certain areas to cover COVID-19 expenses?
Number 2 is the one we are doing COVID-19 variance presentation, that the COVID-19 financial impact presentation be received. And we'll do that first, and then we'll do the third one after that.
Yeah, but I'm just suggesting that we're doing a little more than just receiving a report. We're approving changing spending on certain things.
That's in the next.
It's in the next one, Mark. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. She's identified the 4 categories to offset, to stabilize the tax rate. She's suggesting that'll come up under number 3. We're merely accepting the COVID financial impact variance report. I have a mover. I need a seconder for this. Okay, Councillor McGill.
Oh,
all in favor?
We have a mover and a seconder for that already.
Yep, I'm calling the question. All in favor, please raise your hand. Carried. Number 3 of Kristen's report is the recommendation that council receive the variance report, and furthermore, that council approve the proposed $26,500 budget allocation of $5,000 from Communities in Bloom, $4,000 from the chairs for the council gallery, 10,000 for the arena auditorium flooring, and 7,500 from the Arboreta. To cover
I will move that.
Thank you very much, Mary Gay. And to cover unbudgeted COVID-19 expenses. A seconder for that? Thank you very much, Councillor Crothers. Questions, anybody? Yeah, Councillor Cowell, followed by Councillor Vink.
One of the things that we talked about was that going into a state of emergency potentially provided the opportunity to access funds that would cover the costs of expenses we incurred as a result of COVID-19. Would that mean then that's the potential to get all of the, not all, but much of the funds back? And what will we do with that funds if we did receive it back? Is it possible to have it be allocated towards some of the things that we cut?
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm sure, yes. I'll let Kristen answer that. I give her the pleasure. Confirm?
That's part of the intent of keeping all the costs in one location is a little bit twofold. One, so that we can make sure that we're able to offset it with other budget reallocations as we're doing right now. And secondly, so that they're all in one spot. So if and when there's an opportunity to submit to any upper level to say, look, here's what this has cost us, we can itemize it easily. And then if there are funds received, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to just, you know, it would be up to council. Either we just re-implement the projects that we had deferred or use it in another way that council sees fit.
Okay. Good. Krista, I think you're frozen up on me there. Does that answer your question?
I just was standing very still.
Yeah, you're froze up on me there. Okay, does that address your concern, Krista? Okay, we'll move on. Councillor Crothers, a question?
No, Martin, I believe.
Oh, Martin. Okay. Yes. Councillor Vink, I'm looking for you. There you are.
Yes, Mayor Allen. I was just trying to second the motion. And,
okay.
I was a little late.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll consider that. A seconder, Jill, we can call the question.
Sure.
Okay.
Been moved and seconded. Yep.
Yep. We've got that. All in favor? Raise your hand. Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much, Kristen. I enjoyed that report very much.
I'm glad you did.
I did. I'd like to see it taken from the tax allocation as opposed to the grant allocation programs. That's a good efficiency of capital. We can pay for things by government grant and not by tax levy. We move on to E, facilities and recreation. There are none. And we will move on from E to public works. I have none. And Jill, number 7, have there been any notices of motion, Jill?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Correspondence and petitions. There's a report regarding the conduct of Mayor Mayhew. Deputy Mayor Wilkins, if you would accommodate me by taking over the chair, I'd appreciate it. And council, just for your own information, I'm going to mute myself and I'm merely going to walk away from the chair and maybe grab a cup of coffee. And I'll let you look after item number 8.1. And Jill, if I'm not in the picture, just send me a text or something to let me know you're ready to get back in, okay? Okay, thanks very much. I'm now going on mute.
Thank you very much, Mayor Mayhew. So dealing with, let me see, go back to this here. Yeah. 8.1, report regarding the code of conduct for Mayor Alan Mayhew. Can everybody hear me first of all? Okay, good. So I'm going to ask for a mover and a seconder for this report, please. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Crothers, seconded by, I can't see everybody, seconded by Councillor Bartlett. And now I'll offer up discussion. Are there any questions or comments on this report? Yes, Councillor Vink.
Yes, I have a little letter here. Here we go again. We spent $1,425 to investigate the mayor. This is the 5th case in this term of office. I dare say other municipalities around here have no cases, 0 cases. If people have a problem with why end up running to the meeting investigator. The suicide rate has gone up during this pandemic. People are struggling financially, and in my opinion, we keep wasting taxpayers' money.
Are there any other questions or concerns or comments on this report? Yes, Councillor Schuldeis.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I had asked the treasurer for the figure on how much we've paid independent resolutions. We've all been told that the figure is $15,673 since August of 2018. I can't help but think how those funds could have been spent otherwise on playground equipment or even COVID relief. I appreciate the role of the Integrity Commissioner, but perhaps it's just me. I think we should be able to speak to each other about conflicts without costing ratepayers money. Thanks.
Are there any other comments or questions? Yes, Councillor McGill, you'll have to unmute yourself.
I think all we need to do to get this expense down is have nobody violate the code of conduct and have nobody make any allegations that turn out are not founded. And then we also have to remember, though, in that 15,000 and some bill, it did include at least one ombudsman investigation. And these complaints are not always initiated by members of council either. So it can't be all put on councillors for having these expenses come up. That's all I had to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor McGill. I believe there were 2 ombudsman investigations, were there not, Jill? Yes, I thought so. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councillor McGill. Yes, Councillor Crothers, do you have a comment or question?
Yes, a comment. For those listening in, if you go to the February 12th, 2020 agenda, you will find a very nice letter from Reverend James Greenwood regarding exactly the topic that we're on to tonight. And it's pretty good reading for anybody who's listening in. I think it's very relevant to the situation, the current situation. This has been going on for about almost a year and a half now. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Yes, Councillor Cowell.
For me, I'm interested in some of the comments that we've heard that we should be dealing with these issues ourselves. I can appreciate that perspective that we need to work together, but this issue before us is not about us working together. It is about an individual who has breached confidential closed session meeting. They have gone out of the closed session to, I think it says in the report that they spoke to the individual outside of a closed session. That is what the issue that we're dealing with here. And we have an obligation as councillors and mayor to know our roles. And I think that that is part of this situation. Our role is not to speak to these types of situations, and it's certainly never to breach confidentiality. On more than one occasion, we've seen items from closed sessions come out of closed session, and I don't think that's ever okay. And this is the first time that that's come up. So I have to agree with Councillor McGill in the sense that in many of the cases except one, all of the individuals were found to have breached code of conduct. However, this council chose not to keep some of them accountable for their actions. Perhaps if they had been made accountable for their actions, we wouldn't continue to see breaches.
Thank you, Councillor Cowell. Is there any other questions or comments? And if there isn't, I'm going to call it. I don't see any hands. I'm going to call that. All in favor of, I think, just receive and file. That's the recommendation. That council adopt a finding that part 10 of the code of conduct regarding confidential information was breached, and that given the mayor's expressed regret that no further action be taken. I'm going to call it. All those in favor of that, please raise your hands.
No action be taken.
1, 2, no action be taken. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Against. Councillor. Yeah, okay. Councillor Vink. What's your vote, Councillor Vink? So you're not supporting.
I have my hand up, Deputy Mayor, to
4.
Yes,
for
I am
what,
supporting the recommendation.
I didn't see your hand. Let's try that one more time.
Are you going to be asking? I have.
You're cutting in and out, Councillor Vink. And you're freezing on the screen.
I thought you were conducting the vote again.
I'm going to do it again because I didn't see your hand either
like
time.
Like I stated, Deputy Mayor. Okay. There's.
Okay, so I'm going to call it again. All those in favor? Thank you. Carried. Councillor Schuldeis, I'm assuming you're not voting for that. You're not supporting that.
Are you calling the vote? Did you call?
I did. Can nobody hear me? Am I not getting out? I'm just confused here.
You're clear here.
You're clear here.
I can hear you.
Okay, so I did call it Councillor Vink, or Councillor Schuldeis rather. Did you not hear that?
Oh, I didn't hear you call opposed.
Okay, opposed.
Okay.
Okay, carried. Thank you very much. So Jill, do you want to call the mayor back in?
Yes, so just sent him a message to say, there he is. There we go.
You have to take yourself off mute, Alan.
Mute.
Thank you, Michael, for that, that tip there. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Wilkins. Thank you, Council. We're on the 9, page number 9 of the agenda, unfinished business. I'd like to bring your attention to 5.9 of the correspondence that Councillor Crothers asked to be extracted from the consent agenda. Councillor Crothers, in discussions with Jill, we both speculated that you would no doubt bring this forth because of your interest in that. And I think Jill's observation was right. We know you're kind of passionate about this. There is the opportunity for us to endorse a letter. Jill, do you want to reflect on that at all for council, or to clarify what we're endorsing?
Certainly. When this report letter came in from the city of Hamilton, I contacted their city clerk and their bylaw enforcement because I thought this is exactly an issue that had been brought to our council table. They provided me with a little more context, and I shared that with our planning staff for them to bring up as an item in the planning roundtable, as we had relied on some information that we received from the planner, Stephanie, to assist in providing more information to council when we reported on this. And I think Councillor Carruthers is right on the mark. This has to do with those type of facilities that are really growing the medicinal marijuana. So it doesn't have to do with somebody who just has recreational marijuana if they're abiding by the limits of how many they're allowed to have. It has to do with a facility that somebody has acquired a number of licenses from other people who got permission from their doctor to grow medicinal marijuana. So it's sort of a holdover from, when that medicinal marijuana was first being legalized in Canada. Wasn't a whole lot of options for people to grow it legally. So they were allowing people who had the expertise to do that for other people, because not everybody who needed it could grow it. But there are definitely issues in municipalities where an industrial facility is purchased and somebody has a number of those licenses through other people's permissions from their doctor. It can cause a pretty big issue in a neighborhood, and there is very limited ability for a municipality to deal with it. So this is something the city of Hamilton has been looking at, and they put it out there to other municipalities. I really don't know if there will be any kind of repercussions coming back to, whether or not the Minister or Department of Health in terms of Health Canada is going to just respond to say that this is not something that the municipality can do or not, but certainly worth looking at, and I think fair game for providing some kind of further information to council once they have that discussion at the planning table as well.
Thank you, Jill. Ian, thank you for your observation on that. Council, the letter regarding the Township of Montague, asking for an endorsement on that. Are there any other questions? Yes, Ian, go ahead.
Yes, just a comment. Just happens on May 9th, the London Free Press, there's another very good article regarding, actually in this case, it's the facility in Hyde Park that's been causing discussions about odor. And that's one of several that I found around the area, I guess, that the same thing has happened. And this is why I feel it's kind of important to be addressed. And I'm glad that City of Hamilton's getting interested. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Last call for questions, council. All in favor of the endorsement of the Township of Montague? Raise your hand, please.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Yeah. Do we have a mover and a seconder? And it's the City of Hamilton, correct?
Hamilton. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yes.
Is there a mover 8
instead of 9?
Yep. Have we moved that? I guess we haven't. No. Motion to move that? Can I have a motion to move that?
I think it's Councillor Carruthers, I think, wants to move that.
Is there a second for that motion, Jill?
Yep.
Is there a second? Not yet. A seconder for that, council. Mayor Gay, Deputy Mayor Wilkins, thank you. Last call for discussion. All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Noted. Thank you. Business. County Council conference and updates. We're certainly not going to any conferences. County Council update. I could perhaps speak briefly to this, Jill. There's as you know, in conversations with the roads department of the county, they have put intensified rumble strips down. I understand they're there. They have cleaned up some vegetation as well. They're, thanks to Jill and I, addressed some of the concerns of the sign out there. The property owner has addressed that. We're very pleased that has commenced, and we certainly hope it will continue. I always have my ears out when large sums of money are spent at County Council, and we're very pleased that a new neonatal emergency services vehicle has been put in place. And the operation, the funding for the operations of that from higher levels of government, 1.28 million have been received by the province to fund a new neonatal unit. It covers all of Middlesex County and even beyond. If the requirements are beyond Middlesex County, that is such a specialized unit with specialized personnel aboard that they assist outside of that. In addition to the 1.28, there was another $53,000 in upgrades that were granted from higher levels of government as well. It's a fully funded capitalized improvement to our emergency services. And we certainly thank Chief Neil Roberts on that and Commander Adam Bennett, both as well as great administrators of our EMS. They're also very astute business people, and I commend them for the requisition of that. That's about the extent of it right now. We'll certainly have more forthcoming on that. Jill, if I've missed anything, bring it to my attention. But we enjoyed the webinar with Warden Burkhart Jessen and our CAO Bill Rayburn. Spoke to the county's initiatives and objectives and planning. It was a long but interesting meeting, very fruitful, and we enjoyed seeing their vision and how the importance of their work in our county and Southwest Middlesex. It's always nice to hear their name mentioned in their discussions, and they were in several instances there. Have I missed anything, Jill? Yeah. And Krista, I see your hand up there. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Cow.
We used to have a tab that would say updates from committees that we're on, and I was just wondering if this might be the correct time to talk about an update from the Lower Thames.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Okay, so we'll have you follow. I'll just touch base with Jill one more time on the county. Jill, have I missed anything of importance? I should have had better notes, and I didn't get the opportunity to do them there. Did I miss anything, or have I got it covered?
I don't think you've missed anything about what's already happened. The only update I would offer is I did send out a message today with the invitation to local council members and local staff to participate in a Middlesex County session that the county is organizing with several ministers from the provincial government. So if you haven't had a chance to check your emails, there should be an invitation to that session for you.
Yeah, that's right. I've noted that and have accepted that. Yeah, that will be good. We're just not, it hasn't been confirmed who's going to be there, but we hope, we know Monty, Minister McNaughton will be there, and we're hoping a few other cabinet ministers. And Councillor Cowell, you go ahead on your report from Lower Thames. We'd be pleased to hear it.
It's not a large one, but we did have 2 meetings back to back in a teleconference fashion. And it was not too dissimilar from our other council meetings initially when everyone had to say their name and vote. One of the things they talked about was cost savings that they've been making as a result of COVID, because there will be some costs. They are one of the, they have funds that come in from revenues outside of taxation. So they will be impacted because their campgrounds cannot be open at this time. So that was one update we received, but they do a lot of community outreach as well. So it might end up being a balance in the sense that a lot of their community outreach that they do is not going to happen. Places like the Lower Thames Conservation, the Longwoods Conservation Authority are still open. Big Bend Conservation is still open for walking traffic and day use. And so they just said, let people know because they are still collecting user fees for that at this time. So it is still an opportunity for people to go out and walk or at Big Bend do some fishing.
Okay, thank you very much for that report, Councillor Cowell. Yes, Councillor Vink, go ahead.
Mayor Allen, is this the time for councillor comments, or is there another time?
Yes, no, we can squeeze you in there. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. I'd like to ask Greg Storms about the River Road project. I know they're working on it as we speak. How that's coming along.
Okay, we'll hope Greg's still with us. If not, he may have to get back to you on that, Martin.
No, I'm here. I'm just dark right now.
Okay.
Through you, Mayor Allen, Councillor Vink, the project's moving along quite well. We have experienced a little bit of an issue this week with some of the clay at the toe, and that's going to be removed, and we're going to be piling a fair bit of dirt there, and then we're going to be transferring some of that material over to the landfill site for future use. But the project is progressing nicely. I expect probably still maybe about 10 days, and we should be done.
That's good. Good news, Greg. Yes, and Martin, go ahead. A second question.
Yes, and this is to Steve. I asked a couple of years ago about having a garbage pail at the variety store, and I was asked by one of the owners again this week when they could expect to receive a barrel there, and this has been 2 years ongoing.
I think Steve has an answer for you there. Yeah, go ahead, Stephen.
Through you, Mayor Mayhew, to Councillor Vink. Yes, that was one of the garbage cans that was included when I reported to council last year for the new upgraded garbage cans that we have purchased, and they are now in our possession. So they will be rolling out to all their locations over the coming weeks.
Okay, yeah. Okay, good. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Martin. Any other comments or inquiries? We'll move on to number 12 then, announcements. Number 12, Jill, any announcements that are imminent to council, or are we okay there?
I think Michael had his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Michael, I missed you. Where are you? In the dark there. Mike, I see you there. Go ahead, Michael. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I just received some comments from some ratepayers about the recent tragedy in Nova Scotia and the shooting, and the municipality's policy on flying the flag at half staff. And I just wondered if we could get a bit of an update on that issue.
Mm-hmm. I was contacted by a fireman on that same issue, and the communication went directly to Chief Robert Hansen. In discussions with some of the firemen, the flag, there is a protocol, and that flag was lowered at half-mast in front of the Southwest Middlesex Fire Halls, I believe. I think it was pluralized. And that being said, We know that there are other flags within the municipality, and there is a flag protocol, and we believe we followed that flag protocol as it is written. Of course, all of these things can be changed through future discussion. But Jill, I know that Chief Hansen did accommodate the request at the fire hall. Do you have anything more to add to that?
Sure. And I guess I would offer, we don't have the chief with us. He certainly put forward that request, but I'll correct you on this front, unfortunately, Mayor. As far as I know, it got dropped. So the request went forward, but it didn't get undertaken. So we did certainly apologize. That was the intent. I think I shared that with a council member who inquired about it. I didn't hear that from Councillor Scholdice. Certainly should have passed that on to everybody.
Okay, we'll follow that up, Michael, in future events. I know that many other municipalities showed their support for that. Michael, do you have a second question?
No, thanks, Alan. Appreciate it.
Okay, no problem.
It's 21 hours.
Okay.
Been a long meeting.
Yeah, that's, you hear my time on that. Yeah, I've got a time on that because sometimes I sit down here after 10 or 11 hours, I have to get up. Okay, announcements are done, I believe. No other hands? Well, closed session, Jill, none are anticipated. Bylaws are before you. The first being agreement to enter into with John Party Cooper for the lease of agricultural lands owned by the municipality. The second being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council for the municipality of Southwest Middlesex. And I will
I'll move first, second, third, and final.
Agreed. Thank you.
I'll move first, second, third, and final.
Wilkins, is there a second? Thank you.
I'll second.
Have that. It's been moved by, all right, seconded by Councillor Crothers. All in favor? Raise your hand, please, for the adoption. Oh, my internet connection is unstable. All in favor? Carried. Meeting is adjourned at 9:01.
Right on.
Thank you, Jill, very much.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Wilkins.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, staff.
All right.